Alright, hello and welcome back to Ashgabat Cat, so let's play that. Today we're taking a look at Extreme Downhill. I saw a brief screenshot of this game while I was, bidding on it in an eBay auction. And, Sammy, wait, are they the guys who made a Thomas Ware? The Thomas Wave? And so it looks like a super zoomed in skiing game. Now on one hand, this game does not look terribly amazing, but on the other hand, this series is all about giving games a shot. And you know what? This game looks like it has Dark Horse favorite written all over it. And what the hey? I mean, you could... Oh, you enter your name already? Oh. Is there a back? There is a back. You have 60 seconds to enter your name. So not only do they let you start off by entering your name, they also give you a 1,000, 2, 1,000. Oh, so that's not 60 seconds. That's 60 arbitrary time units. But they do give you a fairly large amount of... Oh, that's for... Well, who are we kidding? I am a for beginner. Story mode? Okay. Joystick change direction. Press button, decrease the speed. Wait, so there's no accelerate. There's just a, slow down button. Also, why is that New York? What are we gonna do? Race down the... Okay. I don't think this is canon. There's no snow in New York, or is there? Why did it show a picture of the city, though? Oh my god, there's a ghost. So you can, feel bad about how slow you're being at any point in time. Oh, I see. That's the dragon. You gotta chase the dragon. You know, this game actually reminds me of a Neo Geo game. Not super over top. It is the rally racing game. It's... Why do I not... Tecmo Off-Road? Man alive, why can I not remember this game? But anyway, it had the same sort of perspective. You were super zoomed in. It also did not quite let you know what was coming. It would sort of, telegraph those turns, but not in a reasonable sort of manner or way. Ooh. Well, they at least flash your name, so it's your career has started right now. You got last place. Your career is also simultaneously finished right now. Okay. So, oh, I bet I'm racing against the timer, and as soon as the harsh mother time, says I'm done, then that's it. As soon as I can't beat time, then I have succumbed to old age. But until then I gotta mess around and pretend like I'm a professional ski racer guy. Well, this probably isn't professional, but he's probably doing it out of his own love. No one else would take him up on a sponsorship. But yeah, no, there was a Neo Geo game that had more or less this exact same gameplay. Now, we get into the fine details of how were they the same, how were they the different. Oh, plus seconds are good because those are seconds that you can use. Of course, obviously these aren't seconds, but... Oh, I see, so you're trying to run into the snowman. It's just like Amped, but it's not like most real-life snowboarding games where, you do not want to last spurt. I love how it's hey, you got a few more seconds to try and do this. You think you can do it? The answer's no, but you can still try. For beginner, for speed course, for winding course, all-rounder. You know what? I think she was the one who, showed off at the end, and it's well... I could use some all-aroundness. I mean, Alpine, save that for snowboard kid. Oh, she is not as fast as you would like. What is happening? She is, floating all around? So, it's hard to tell on screen, but, the two snowboarders handle, drastically differently. Versus, that rally game where basically all the cars were the same, except they had slightly different top speeds, which is the only important thing, because in that game, you're just going as fast as you can. Super off-road? Super turf? Maybe it was super off-road, but I don't remember. I played the heck out of that game. I love that game. I can make it to the final stage. I can't beat that final stage. It is a level 4 Neo Geo game, but still. Anyway, so she controls she turns way sharper than the other guy. It's not unreasonable, and as you saw, I got 3rd place, so there's definitely some challenging stage. So apparently if you're good enough, they'll let you do a challenging stage. Okay, no first person ghost to mess with my head. Okay. So last course she was turning like way too sharply, but now she's turning just sharply enough. Oh, you failed. Okay, well that was fast. But she's turning like sharply, but she's not turning like sharply enough that it's like really bothering me. Ooh, now that is a sunset worth watching. I'll say this about this game. Whether or not the gameplay is any good, and again, jury's out on that, the backgrounds and the sprite work is honestly inspiring. Like, there's just something about being zoomed in this much that allows you to put in a ton of detail even at 480p. Now, gameplay-wise, you have to answer the question, should you do this? And the answer is no, you really should not. I mean, have you ever played Mega Man Zero in the Game Boy Advance? I mean, you should. I mention it all the time. It's a really good game. But one of the main flaws about that game, it's not just your every average day Mega Man game, and part of that is because they make it like super tough, and then Zero plays a lot differently, but another way is that they don't really show you enough of what's coming at you. And so... Oh wow, I was pretty close to the finish though. Let's try Speedy McSpeedster. But like they don't show you enough of what's coming at you, and so like things can kind of feel cheap, things can kind of feel like rushing at you, and it's not what you want in a game. And so that rally game, like the view is like quite a bit further back, and so you can actually see like what's happening. It also helps that you can like kind of control your car actually, whereas this, it's like the Speedster is barely controllable. I mean, he is controllable, but there's definitely a nuance to it, and a nuance I'm not quite getting. Also, one interesting thing about that rally game is that there were like shortcuts, but more importantly, you could see the shortcuts, and like you could kind of tell, it's like, okay, next time I gotta go that way, because that's where the shortcut is. And it's like, yeah, you can. Oh, okay. So either the times get down, like the more you race, or the more quarters you put in, or maybe you should just always go for the fastest guy. I mean, the downside, you ask? You look like that. And I thought Flock of Seagulls had silly hair, but this is something else. I won't like rag on his ability to just mysteriously fly down slopes faster though. But it's kind of weird though. It's like it's a skiing game, so it's like how do you go faster down a slope? And according to Snowboard Kids, pretty much you be fatter. Like you get a bit more mass, you get a bit more gravitational acceleration, and thus you go faster. But this game, it's like, I don't know, he's more aerodynamic or something? Well, I guess with the haircut that sharp, it's like, I could see it. I could see him being super aerodynamic. Well, Ashgabat Cat, getting to the bottom of mysteries one day at a time. Getting to the bottom of this mountain, 3 stumbles and 2 good runs at a time. Yeah, I always hated that. It's like, okay, so now we're out racing the first place guy, but it's like, oh, we still didn't make it. And so it's like, I'm just as skeptical as that girl looks right now. It's like, so we're going faster than the first person guy, but we didn't actually make it. So it's like, how fast do you actually have to be going? And is the first place guy really in first place, or is he just there to kind of give you something to fight against? Now, I do appreciate that video games kind of like very frequently give you opponents to fight. Now, I mean, it's not like this game like needs an opponent for you to fight. Like, it's still relatively engaging and fast-paced and like just all around visually interesting enough for you to keep playing it. But having that extra edge of this like ghost player who like kind of comes in and antagonizes you, it adds that extra bit of personality. I guess what I'm really trying to say is, if you were wondering if this is an underrated hidden gem, the answer is, yeah, probably. I mean, there's definitely something here. Now, of course, I don't think the game is necessarily good for like all time, because I mean, as you see, your racer kind of, they don't race especially well. Now, there is challenge to the game. I mean, you want to keep playing. I kind of don't. I mean, I played through all the characters, and it's like, no, I can see where this is headed. All right, let's get rid of these credits. Yeah, no, so I can see where this game's headed, but I mean, there's a bit of challenge too. So if you want to like play this game bit by bit, day by day, and just kind of play every day, try to get a little bit better, try to go a little bit further, then yeah, No, I can definitely see this game holding your interest. Now, that is kind of one of the downsides of arcade games like this. Once you beat it, then it doesn't really have any sort of leverage over you. I like to think of it as every time you play a new video game, it's kind of like it has some blackmail over you. It's like, oh, if you quit now, I'll tell all the other video game players that you suck at video games. And so you're like, I won't let you do that video game. I am going to play through and beat you. But then, like, once you beat them, it's like, oh, okay, never mind. I'm ripping up my blackmail. Hey, you want to keep playing? Keep hanging out for friends, right? And you're just like, nope, on to the next video game. And the video game's like, they're just going to betray you like I did. It's like, why do you keep trusting video games? And you're like, you know what? Video games are pretty expensive. I don't know why either. But somehow I need them in my life. So that's why I do it. So it gives you a quick little preview of all the courses that you could never hope to see, because the game is actually surprisingly hard. Honestly, it's a pretty tightly crafted game. It's got really nice sprite work. The zoomed in screen is like, it's not unworkable. You can work around it, but I mean, it's something you would prefer it's not there. But again, you play this over and over. You starting to like memorize the courses, which it sounds ridiculous, but it's like even 2 or 3 times, it's like you can kind of start memorizing the courses. You memorize exactly how long you have to turn. Maybe there's a shortcut or two and you find it. And so after a while, that's not so much of a detriment. And if anyone ever looks over your shoulder, they're like, whoa, that's a pretty sweet game. Can I play? And you're like, you can try, but you can't succeed. And then they're like, yeah, right. And then they play it. They're like, wow, this is the hardest game ever. How do you do this? Extreme Downhill. Sammy Industries. I really do wonder if that has anything to do with the Sammy and the Atomisware. And if it does, well, I can kind of see where they could have gone good and could have translated that success into the Atomisware hardware. Now, of course, the Atomiswave hardware was actually surprisingly crap. Well, okay, the hardware itself is not bad. It just kind of gets into, you need games to play on that hardware. And I mean, yeah, you can play that special edition King of Fighters game, but like, that's only going to hold you for so long. And I mean, if you think about that game, it's like all it had that was neat was like young geese, which, I mean, okay, that's like an okay selling point, but like, why don't you just play King of Fighters 98 with like Omega Rugal, who's cooler than geese ever could hope to be? Or you could play King of Fighters 96, which actually has regular geese in it. I mean, okay, he's not super overpowered like young geese, but it's like, really, a super powered like fighting game character? It's like, okay, either you're going to be playing against them and they're the computer, in which case they're going to be super cheap against you, and it's like, why are you doing this? Or you're going to be playing as them, and okay, playing against the computer, fine, maybe that's fine, but if you're playing against another human being, it's like, then you're just going to be cheaping them out. I mean, for you, it's great. You get to finally pretend like you're a computer playing a super cheap boss, and you're just going to, like, beat them. But then, like, they have to fight, like, against the super cheap boss that's you. Except, the thing is, you can always walk away from an arcade game. You're just like, nope, that's it. I don't care how much money I put into you. I'm done. I'm never touching you again. But if you're friends with somebody, you're probably going to have to see them again. So they are going to have to continually deal with you. And if you are the kind of person who would choose a super cheap game character against them and keep fighting, well, their suffering is nowhere near an end. So I guess the moral of the story is, Extreme Downhill is actually a pretty cool game. I don't know, there's just something about the visual style, just something about the gameplay that, like, kind of screams hidden gem. It's like, hey, you were definitely going to underrate me at first, but as you play, and as you play more, you are going to enjoy the heck out of me. And you know what? Maybe I will. Unfortunately, I found that game on the Neo Geo, which is basically this game but better. But maybe for you, who have not experienced either of those games, you could start here, be satisfied, and then play the one on the Neo Geo and realize that it's like 5 times better. So on that note, this cat's got a scat.